Rodri.
Is there anything that Lionel Messi is better than you at? It's opinions. I respect your opinions. Maybe in your opinion Messi is better than me, but in my mind I'm better than him.
I do it again.
Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me, gon' back it up. Matter what. Told you I'ma do me, why you hating on me, it's not adding up. I do roll like a Mack truck, country heart, I might cop a farm and go act up. Like scars, I was cold-hearted, now I'm back up. Keep it real, I do this once a month, I don't rap much. I just hit the money and go stack up. Only buy cars, so you tat it up. All that other bull, it don't matter much. You only climb me, I put the ladders up. No fault, I done doubled up on the workload. I think I fell in love with the bankroll. Pray up, get money, then we lay low. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up,
Yes, guys, I'm Si. Welcome to Ace Podcast Nation, the home of Rodri Giggs on football, where we will fly through as many subjects from the beautiful game as we can in the next 45 minutes. Be a shorter one today because the international break, there's a bit less to talk about, but there is some crazy stories to discuss. As always, I'm joined by Mr. Rodri Giggs, which I'll bring in just a minute. But before we do that, as we wait for some of the latecomers, let's have a little bit of housekeeping, a little bit of an update on the Super Six. We haven't had for a while. Ollie Rushworth is top of the Fantasy League with 523 points. Donna Perry won the last Super Six round with 16 points, but it's Peter McElroy who tops the table on 106 points. In terms of myself and Rodri, the Fantasy Premier League only separated by one position, as I am 46th and Rodri is 45th. And in the Super Six, I got 9 points from the last round. Rodri got a big fat zip, which means I have got 83 in total, and Rodri has got 79. So unfortunately, that lead which Rodri had a couple of weeks ago has gone, disappeared, destroyed in a matter of weeks. Just
like your FPL.
Same every year, mate. FPL, I'm so bad at FPL.
Yeah, you're only 30 points in front of me. And what are you now? Like 10 points behind me. We'll gloss over that, though. Go on.
Well, mate, the Super Six has been so one-sided.
Oh, here we go.
That maybe we should focus on the Premier League.
Can't mention both at the same time and then think, one's not as important as the other. Just because you've done shit and one and the other. Own it. Come on.
That's exactly what I can do, mate. Exactly what I can do. But as always, joined by the man himself. He's ex-Bangor, Aberystwyth Town, FC United, Salford City. Been around the block, Mr. Rodri Giggs. How are you, my friend?
Told you always forget Mosley. Won 2 leagues there.
Right, I will make sure that I don't leave Mosley out anymore. The thing is, you've been at so many clubs. It's difficult to,
but not all of them did win leagues. I won 2 at Mosley.
Right, okay. So what we'll do is we'll make Mosley the top dog, the first one. Mate, it's weird, right? Because international break is shite, isn't it? Although it was slightly more enjoyable this time around because Wales put in a couple of good performances, particularly the Croatia game, which we'll talk about in a bit. But it's just so strange because there has actually been some stuff happening. You've got Jim Ratcliffe's buying 25% of Man United. You've got Rasmus Højlund accusing San Marino players of trying to break his back. You've got Tonali, who's Newcastle's big signing, who's been outstanding this year. Looks like he's going to get a long ban. It's been a bit wild, mate. I think we'll start with Sandro Tonali because I saw someone who I'm a massive fan of and who had well-publicised issues with gambling himself, and Michael Chopra. Obviously, he's a massive Newcastle fan, And I saw that he replied to someone on Twitter who had said, you've got to give him a ban. He broke the rules, blah, blah, blah. You've got Ivan Toney's doing a ban. He's got to be the same thing. And Michael Chopper said, look, he's addicted. He's owning it. You should be giving him help, not taking away football, because then it's just giving him more time to deal with, to live in that addiction and stuff like that. But I think that seems to me like one of those where, because it's your player and it's a big player for you as a Newcastle fan, you don't want him to be banned. But I don't think there's any way that he can not be banned if he's proven to have done what they're saying, because they've set a precedent with other players.
Problem, or if he's got a problem or not, he's an idiot for betting on his own team.
Yeah.
Sure, there's enough games out there that you can bet on without betting on your own team, because then it becomes suspect, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think
Italian football isn't the best.
No, it's not. No, it hasn't got the best reputation of it.
Exactly. So
match fixing and stuff.
Did A.C.E know about it? You just don't know. You don't know, do you?
Here's a question for you then, mate. Should footballers be able to bet that they will score, that they will win a game? Because that's not really match fixing, is it? If you bet on yourself, if I was a boxer and I bet on myself to win a fight, or an MMA fighter or whatever,
if you can't play a game of football without having the bet, don't play football.
And this is the thing, isn't it? It's there's so many other things that he could bet on if he's got to bet that much. It's a very silly. It's a big.
Or you can get your mum or your sister or your girlfriend to do it for you.
Yeah, there's footballers.
You doing it yourself and being all of the people are idiots.
Do you think these footballers have they got so much money that they think they're untouchable or something?
Yes.
I don't understand how they all
idiots
are doing the same thing.
What happened to me? Blase. Now you're doing a 2-year ban or whatever you're doing. You get at least problems. If he's got a problem, then he's got a problem. It needs to be solved. And
of course,
I wouldn't wish a gambling addiction on anyone, because it could ruin your life. But when you've got money like that, yeah, it's easy as well. But come on,
you've got to be clever, haven't you? It's
mate, you're just idiot.
I feel for anyone who's got an addiction or a problem with something.
Me too. Yeah,
gambling particularly, mate. I had a bit of an issue with it a few years back. Not massive, but I kind of caught it before it became a real problem, where it was a big enough problem that caused issues for me in my personal life and financially and stuff like that. But I caught it early enough that it didn't fucking ruin me, sort of thing. And it's just one of them, mate, really, it's everywhere, isn't it, gambling? And the Premier League and the FA and that, they're so hypocritical, because there's betting sponsors all over the place, the shows,
who would do sponsorships for betting? Come on, who would do it?
I know, innit? So low. I should change it so that not instead of ex-Salford City winger, it should be Rhodri Giggs, Paddy Power ambassador.
I'm one of the lucky ones. I don't bet. I just receive money off the bookies.
No,
not anymore, but I used to.
And you also have claim for the best ads that Paddy Power have ever made.
Well, that's not a question, but we'll move on from that.
It's a legendary advert. Look, it's weird, because in one way I do feel sorry for Tonali, because, like I said, I feel for anyone who's got an addiction and is battling that. But then on the other hand, I'm it's just so stupid. And they all know the rules, mate. And no matter what, whether you come through in an academy in Italy or England or Wales or wherever you come in, those academies at professional, top league clubs, they tell them from they're young, don't bet on football, don't bet on your team, don't gamble, blah, blah, blah. They get it drummed into them. So there's no excuse for it. I understand that he's got a gambling problem, but there's still no excuse for it. It's just ridiculous. And from what I've read, he's going to get a massive ban because of the amount of the bets, and they're on his own team and stuff.
Well, just cool your jets a minute, mate, because we're talking about an unlimited amount of funds here. So there'll be lawyers all over this with Newcastle. So don't think he's going to get a massive ban. No, this precedent set. What did Joey Barton get? What's Tony got? So you've just got to, cool your jets a bit, relax. I don't think he may get as much as because of the money and the best lawyers that money can buy.
Yeah, I accept that, but from the FA's point of view, the reason they hit Ivan Toney so hard compared to others who did the same thing was they said that because he bet on games that he was involved in.
Right, but that was in Italy, not in Premier League.
Yeah, but he's a Premier League player now, so I think they have.
Right, but there's a loophole there. But he wasn't involved in the Premier League at that time, so how is that relevant?
But won't they have to be the federation which implements the ban now?
Well, no, if you can't bet on football, anything, no football. Doesn't matter if he's played in Italy or if he's playing in England. But if you're betting on your own team, then that becomes suspect. But yeah, it's great.
So does it? Is it the FA which bans like the individual countries' FAs which ban these players, or is it FIFA? Or is it FIFA?
No, it's the FA.
Right. So if Serie A ban Tonali from playing for 2 years in Serie A, that's not going to make any difference to him, is it? Because he's playing in the Premier League.
No.
So will then the Premier League?
And now he's a Newcastle player. Suddenly's come to Newcastle and suddenly's not bet.
Well, this is I suppose.
So there you go. He bet whilst he's a Premier League player, so it doesn't really affect unless they say, okay, you can't play for Italy.
So my question, I guess, is if there's no evidence to say he's made any bets since he's been at Newcastle, I don't know if there is or not.
Well, if he's got an addiction, I find that very hard to believe.
Yeah, of course. But would that, say he gets a ban from Serie A for 2 years in Italy or whatever, does that mean the Premier League has to?
Ask about that because he don't play there. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But does the Premier League then have to implement that ban over here as well?
Well, no, they'll do that separate investigation.
So you could have, I suppose, and I'm hypothesizing, but technically, could you end up in a situation where he's banned from playing in Italy, but he's not banned from playing in Premier League?
If he's banned in England, he's banned completely.
Yeah, because, like, for instance, Tony hasn't been able to move abroad and play.
What about Italy? Italy's irrelevant. He's got a 3-4 year contract. But he's staying in England. Italy's irrelevant.
Yeah. He's going to get, like, there's a few people in the thing saying that it's like a global ban, whatever it is.
Yeah, it is, yeah. But, yeah, it is.
It's a massive blow for Newcastle, mate, because he's been one of their main guys this year. He's hit the ground running.
Well, you got to think now that Calvin Phillips will be on the radar in January.
But the problem is they got a couple of Champions League games before the January window opens. And if he gets banned, looks like they're going to make that decision next week. So there's a high likelihood that he will not be available in the Champions League.
It's good job for them. They've done a very good start and they've got 6 points.
Yeah, indeed, mate. I think Calvin Phillips would be a good shout, mate, in January when he's not playing for Man City. Pep doesn't seem to fancy him. Get him relatively cheap, or even you could even get him on loan, I suppose. And he kind of fills the hole quite nicely. Is he that top level? Which I would argue that Tonali's not far off. I don't think so, but I think he does a job in the Premier League at least till the end of the season. Which
he's got legs. He's an England international, even though he's not the best one, but he's in England.
Yeah, he's not terrible, is he? Like in terms of Premier League as well, I think he can do a real good job for him.
Yeah,
but like you said,
he's a fit through.
They got
Tommy might be on the radar as well.
They looked at him before, didn't they? And they didn't want to pay for it. He'd be another one, I think, who'd do a good job.
Midfielder. We'll have a bit of him.
Yeah, that's interesting, mate. And like you said, rightly so at the start, like they got unlimited money, Newcastle, so whoever they want, they can go after. It's just whether the clubs will release them in January, really.
Yeah, we just spent 15 minutes on that. Come on.
Yeah, right. Wales, mate, versus Croatia. That massive win, massive performance, means that it's in Wales' hands for qualification. Were you impressed by what you saw? I thought it was the best performance under Robert Page.
Listen, when you beat a team like Croatia, home or away, they're always thereabouts in the top four of the major competitions. I mean, the top four, like they're on the semi-final, they get to the final of late. So to beat them 2-1, it's a very good result, but they can't ruin it now. They've got to go to Armenia, get a result, which they've already been beaten against this year at home. So that'll be difficult. And then the big one in the last game. If we need to win on the last game, we've seen it before in recent years, we'll win.
Yeah. And I said yesterday, like, if Wales play like they did against Croatia in those 2 games, I would fancy them to win both games.
They're so difficult, these away games, these Armenia, Kazakhstans, Azerbaijans. They're so difficult, but, they know what they have to do now. If they lose, they're more or less out.
They might have a little backdoor in, mightn't they, because of the hosting of the Euros. But, I mean, generally speaking, they'll be out. And, I mean, that moves us nicely on, actually, talking about the away games and how difficult they are. Even Denmark, away at San Marino, they only won 2-1.
Yeah, didn't they?
And San Marino got a goal. Do you see there was a guy on betting? He was in line to have an accumulator for, like, both teams to score yes or no. He would have won something like 14 grand if San Marino hadn't scored for the first time in 9 years or whatever it was, which is a sickener, isn't it? What did you make of some of the Danish comments after that game? So Simon Kajar came out after the game and said that some of the challenges on Højlund were disgusting. He heard them talking about how they were going to target his back and his knees, and there was one in particular where the guys just need him in the back. And Simon Kjaer highlighted it and said that's how Neymar fractured a vertebrae. And I think wasn't that the injury which Højlund had when he first signed for United, something to do with his back?
Possibly. These things have got to be looked at because these aren't professional players. They're semi-professional players, some of them.
Yes.
And it's playing against £70 million players, putting knees in the back. And then tomorrow they're going putting sunbeds out or something.
Yeah.
So
and like,
it needs to be looked at, and some action needs to be taken, but I doubt it will be.
Well, apparently they were talking in Italian, which both Højlund and some of the other Danish players are fluent in. So they heard it and they said, like, they first of all targeted his back, and then they said, right, let's go after his knees now. And they were just kicking him in the knees and the thighs. And like, if you're like United, you're looking at that and you're not happy at all.
This is where you need a strong ref, don't you?
Yeah, apparently the ref was awful.
But, he probably didn't have a strong ref because it's not really one of the marquee games, is it? San Marino, Denmark, and in San Marino. So, they wouldn't have had a strong referee, and it would have gone on for far too long and then damaging players' health. So, it needs to be looked at, even though the game's finished now, and look back and see if they need to rectify it. There needs to be action after the fact.
Yeah, I think so. I think particularly if, there's cameras everywhere. So if you can prove that they're talking about that sort of thing, you look at some of the challenges which have been floating around on social media, I think absolutely needs to be dealt with quickly and promptly. Because, look, we all enjoy those kind of the physical side of the game, and we miss what it used to be like. The San Marino player responded and said, "Oh, the £70 million guy wouldn't have lasted 2 seconds 10 years ago because the guy's 40." And he said, 10 years ago, he wouldn't have lasted because the game's physical. He's not a real man and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, yeah, but there's a difference between being competitive and aggressive, like what we used to see from a Gerrard, from a Keane, these types of people, from Gattuso and, all these guys over the years. There's a difference between being aggressive and winning balls and being cutthroat and whatnot, and just being, just targeting players and trying to injure them. Now, the only one I could think of off the top of my head is when Roy Keane done Haaland's old man. Like, that was a targeted thing where he tried to hurt him. Whereas most of the time, I think when you look back on that kind of era, it was just, robust men fucking going in, trying to win the
Ben
ball.
Thatcher, remember that one? Ben Thatcher.
Oh, nasty, but he was a dirty player, him. Whatever happened to him? He played for Wales, didn't he, for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had who was it? Was it Ronaldo? He had a goal.
Pedro won it for Portsmouth. Remember when he elbowed him, ran straight into him and just went bash. That Manchester City, he was playing in Manchester City at the time.
Yeah.
Was hanging.
So I want to bring this comment to there. So Reece says if Hoyland thinks that was rough, wait until United draw someone like Crewe in the FA Cup and he gets kicked pillar to post. But I disagree with that, right? Because there's a difference between going to play in like a non-league team in the FA Cup and having a really physically brutal game, but the referee, is calling up for fouls.
The players would be all over it, and the ref would be proper under pressure.
You expect the physical battle. What you don't expect is
we would have had a weak referee, a young referee, not a strong referee, and he's just not got a grip of it, and then they've just absolutely gone to town on him. I'd have to watch the game. No, it can't be that bad because he finished the game. So,
yeah, he must have got away. It sounds like he got away with it a little bit. Reece also says, remember when Ben Thatcher threw that elbow at Pedro's jaw?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
But he did another one, didn't he? Like stamped on Ronaldo or someone as well?
Nasty one.
Yeah, he was a nasty guy. Calvin Phillips did a good job for Bielsa at Leeds. Seems to be a couple of comments on that. I think Calvin Phillips is a very, very good Premier League player, and I think he would be a good solution for Newcastle, as would McTominay. But
he's average at best.
He's a Premier League player, isn't he? He's not like
average at best. He's not a. You go over the last 20 years and look at the midfielders, central midfielders of England, and he's average at best. He will be last on the list. There's people like Scott Parker, Steve Sidwell that are better than him. Come on. He's average. So my thing
with Calvin Phillips, but why I think they'll go after him is because he's gettable in January, because he doesn't play for Man City. So that he, like in January.
No, listen, don't get me wrong. He's athletic. He does the basics, but come on.
He's nowhere near Tonali, let alone the top level.
Every sideways, backwards. I get a nosebleed if he passes forward or goes a pass over 30, 40 yards. Come on. Talking these great midfielders, he's average at best. That England midfield is average at best. Mind you, no, it's not, because we have Jude Bellingham's there. So, but the surrounding cast there. Michael Carrick.
Yeah. I agree with you.
Come on.
I do agree with you. I think I don't think.
And then we're not even getting into the Steven Gerrards, Paul Scholes, Brian Robson, Lampard, Paulins, Gascoigne. Average at best, Phillips. Don't even be there. Move on.
So Manchester United, Jim Ratcliffe looks like he's going to buy 25% of the club. How do you feel about that? Although there was reports today that the Qataris are coming back in, so who knows? But let's work on what was being reported for the last few days. That Jim Ratcliffe.
I'm tired of it now. I want to talk about it when it's actually done. This is like
25%, and he's going to run the football side.
So this is like
an run anything
thing now. That's just going on. It's just papers fueling this shit. Where's it coming from? Where's it coming from?
My one question, I suppose,
when it's done, then we'll talk about it. But until then, it's just fucking Daily Mail, red top bullshit.
Let me ask you one quick question on it then, and then we'll move on. If Jim Ratcliffe is buying 25%,
bad move.
How can you possibly be in charge of the football side or anything? If you can't be in charge of anything if you haven't got the controlling stake in the club, can you?
Mate, it's what I mean. It just doesn't make sense. Why would you give $1.5 billion to someone that you're not even going to be in full control of? How is that good business? Come on.
Yeah, come on. It's a weird one, mate.
I don't even believe it's true. Just think it's a load of fluff.
I just think the Glazers are trying to get more money out of the Qataris. Myself, that's all I think it is.
It's boring. It's boring. They're running out of money. He needs to have to do one or the other because they're running out of dough.
Yeah, yes,
and
they are.
The ground's leaking. It's winter soon.
That's just like that's funny because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
like it shouldn't be the case, should it?
Greatest club in the world, apparently, and the fucking roof's leaking.
Never mind, everything else.
And it has been for 2 years. Just botching it up, just fucking soaking your own fans, pissing down.
And then you've got youth players going to League One clubs saying that the facilities are on par for training, which is, again, outrageous. And like for a club the size of United's and the revenue and everything that they
got a
bring
nice
in.
fresh women's new training ground at Carrington. It looks nice and fresh, that. But, it must be over 20 years old now, that 20 odd years old. And like Ronaldo said, it's not changed since he was there.
We had a question earlier about your time at Aberystwyth. I'm just trying to find it now. If I can't find it, I'll get them. There you are. When you played for Aberystwyth, did you travel there for every game or did you move there to play? How does that work?
Oh, it was hanging. When I put my first game, I put it in the mileage. It said something like 120 miles or 110 miles, something daft. I thought, that's nothing, that. At the time, it said 3 hours 40. I went, what? It's all A roads. It's hanging. Horrible. But no, I drive there, play the game, drive back. Used to do it. And then used to train, drive there, train for 2 hours, drive back. So you drive for 7 hours there and back just to train 2 hours or play and come back.
So
one game I was playing for Bangor, we used to meet, if we played in South Wales or far away, we used to meet at Chester at 6:30, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've met at Chester at 6:30. We've got to the ground at 1 o'clock. Pitch inspection. Game called off. It was at Haverford West. So we'd gone all the way from Chester to Haverford West. Got there, got off the coach, and it was just the pitch was just icing, just ice. Again, they called it off at 1:15. So then we drove. I got back in my house at 9:30, and I hadn't even played a game. It was a nightmare. But I was young. I was young. I didn't care. It was a good crack in the coach on the way home. You had a few drinks and that. But it was a good crack.
How long were you there for, Aberystwyth, then?
Not long.
So with that level, how many times a week do you train?
Oh, 2, but you play 2 games a week. But if you haven't got a game in the week, you train Tuesday, Thursday, wouldn't you? But usually you'd have a game in the week.
Jesus, so you were doing 7 hours Tuesday, 7 hours Thursday, 7 hours Saturday, just in travelling.
They had to pay me to do that, so yeah.
Oof. It's a long old drive, that is.
I was young, what was that? 20?
Yeah.
22, 23. So
didn't mind it as much. Like, it was a good crack. Good crack. It was a good play in the League of Wales. When you finish the game, it was always good hospitality afterwards, and you can watch the match. Like the football roundup, the goals used to be on the telly, so you can watch the telly on BBC Wales. All the goals going in from your league. Yeah.
You scored. As you get changed, get showered, you sit down, have your food, and it comes on. And you can watch it if you scored. So it was good and stuff like that. It was really well organised, but yeah, the travelling was a joke. Bangor City was great as well.
What's your favourite club that you've played for?
Ooh.
Like whether it was in terms of how you did on the pitch or just
best probably in Salford City, because that's obviously I'm from Salford. I managed, coached, and captained Salford City, but probably the most I enjoyed was Mosley.
Successful there as well.
Yeah, won 2 leagues there. Obviously won a league at FC United and did well at Salford, but Mosley was probably the best. But FC United was good. I don't even know I was only there a year. And then I spent a year after that at Curzon Ashton, which was a good year, good team, but we didn't win anything. I screwed up at the end. I got suspended for 5 games coming to the end of the season. We lost a few of them games, so. But yeah,
cost you. What about on the other end of the spectrum, when you look back, which clubs did you not enjoy for whatever reason?
New Mills, it's the only club I went there for the money. And
where did you say? Sorry,
it's the only club I went to for the money.
You just didn't enjoy it at all.
Nice people, nice, but the coaching, and not the coaching, the travelling. I was a bit older then. I had a child. I was working full time. It was a bit different. I just didn't want to be there. It probably lasted there about 3 or 4 months. Then left and went back to Salford.
Did you ever leave anywhere like where you fell out with someone, so you left on sort of bad terms?
FC United. We'd played. We played a full season with FC United. So I've been at Mosley, and I've won obviously 2 leagues, and then got the manager at FC United asked me to come to there, which was 2 leagues below. So I was dropping down. I was on good money, and then I could drop down to play 2 leagues below for 50 quid. But you playing on Gig Lane, there's like 5,000 people. Yeah. So it was been a full season of that. Won the league, won the cup, and next pre-season we've gone down to play Wimbledon, and we're staying at a hotel, and we're staying at a hotel. We've got the game. The fans have got a game in the morning. So he wanted us to go over and watch the fans play a football game, then go to our game and watch the game. But it was fucking boiling. It was like June, July. It was fucking boiling. And no breakfast, outside watching a game for like 80, 90 minutes, losing dehydration, no food. And then I'm saying after the game, after watching the game, right, well, what do we do now? Where are we getting our food from? We went, just get a Mars bar or something. And I just went fucking sick. Mars bar. So some of the lads were starving, and I drove down, but all the rest of them were coming. A coach, I don't know how. A couple of us drove down to be coming from different places. So I gave the lads a lift to the game and stopped at a burger place. Anyway, we've ended up getting lost for the game, lost to the ground. Turned up about 20 minutes before kickoff. He's put us on the bench. Anyway, we've come on at half time, but then he's fucking going on, and I just flipped at full time and just went sick. Just saying it's a fucking joke. This preparation, and you're sitting there slagging us off when we haven't prepared. Right, we're sitting out watching a fucking game in 90-degree heat, no water, no food, and now we've got to go and play a game against fucking Wimbledon, who's a league club or not a very, very good non-league club. Yeah. You know, in the boiling hot heat with no food, no drink, and you tell me to go and get a fucking Mars bar. So I just flipped. Yeah, and then got in my car and drove home. On the Monday, rang me saying, "Yeah, I don't need you anymore." I'm mates with him now. I play golf with him, so I'm good friends. I play golf with him every week. Play with him on Sunday. He's just got a job at Trafford, Margie. But yeah, it was. But you know, that was in my prime then, and I probably that season, even though I scored about 20 goals or 15 goals, I was on one leg. I'd done my ligaments to my ankle, and instead of resting it, I played through it, and halfway through the season, or say 2/3 of the season, I was probably on one leg because it was a fucking shit league. I could just get through it, and then by the end of the season, it started getting better, and then I started getting better and better. Then the next couple of years, I don't think they got promoted, or they did get promoted, but they didn't get promoted. I'd have.
What about did you ever go to any of those clubs and you kind of got there and you were surprised by the standard, maybe of the coaching or the facilities or the standard of the games and stuff? Like anywhere surprise you?
No.
What was the best standard you think, or like the best quality in terms of preparation, standard of football, coaching, like the all-round package? Like which was the best, you think? Probably
Mosley, Had 2 very good coaches there, Jason Beckford and John Murphy. Spud, who was a coach educator who teaches coaches. So he was a good coach for preparation, the stuff that we did, shape, everything. And it showed because we ended up winning the league. We were organised. But yeah, Mosley was probably the best structure, coaching, train. But the best team probably when I was with Salford, when I first started. We still didn't win the league. We come second with 101 points. Kids Grove won it on 102.
It's mad, that, isn't it?
I know, yeah.
A couple of follow-up questions from the people on Aberystwyth and that. Reese says, how did that affect your body, your muscles and stuff, the travelling? It must have been a nightmare going from Manchester to Aberystwyth just for training.
I never really had a problem with it. It was a problem when you drive home. Yeah, because you've just played a game and then you're driving, getting your car for 3.5 hours. But I would stop. I wouldn't stay in my car 3.5 hours. But yeah, it was always the standard wasn't great, so I could always just and I was a fit lad, so it was just so I could. It was never really a problem for that.
Well, in fairness, like whenever people ask me about you and they say, "Oh, when Rodri was a kid, he was better than Ryan," that's the first thing people will say to me all the time.
Yeah, probably was, but yeah, when you hit about 11, 12, just totally stopped and started doing the wrong things.
Yeah,
but yeah, better at rugby, better at football, would have been better. But you got to be committed. You got to.
Yeah, you got.
No one give a. I was always going stuff on my own, and it was just couldn't be bothered with it.
As a teenager, like I obviously involved in like coaching and stuff now. Like, and I look at some kids and they turn up and they're on their own. Their parents are never there, or like relatives and that, and you just think like they're really good, and with a bit of encouragement and help, they could really progress. Like, and you can see them drift off as they get to like 13, 14, and they girls and hanging around, and because they make their own way to training, they choose to go out with their mates instead because they haven't got someone.
Well, this is what I mean. I was like,
I'm not saying that you had that. I'm just saying.
But that's never what I'm. Okay, so you're supposedly just as good or just not as good, but still, you're just as good or not as good. But my mum didn't watch me play. My first game she watched me play football was probably about 30 years of age, and 30 years of age was the first game she ever played. It was a charity game that I played playing at Old Trafford. Okay. And then my dad's never seen me play football. So I'm obviously in Manchester. So all my family are in Cardiff. So I'm sure if they're probably in Cardiff, or it would have been different. But
of course, yeah.
It was. I was always on my own. I remember going to Salford when I got called up to play for Salford or Salford trial, and I turned up late because I got the wrong bus. I didn't know where I was going. And then I turned up and probably didn't have the right attitude because I was anxious because I was late, and I was upset when I was late and didn't show the right way, and probably
It all kind of contributes, doesn't it?
What?
It all contributes, and when you're young, like 13, 14 or whatever.
Well, like, it was about 11, 12.
To even younger, like you haven't got the emotional capacity to deal with that in the right way. Like you haven't got the capacity to be late and have to, miss the bus and you're late for training, and then you haven't got the emotional maturity to then go, right, I need to switch on now and show a really good attitude because I was late. You kind of more likely to be a bit frustrated and not have the right, just not show the right thing.
Well, rugby. If my dad took about, I would have played rugby, but yeah, football was
union or league, because you were at Manchester.
No,
league.
Yeah,
were you good at that? Were you?
Yeah.
Winger?
No, scrum half.
Scrum half. Well. Interesting, mate. Interesting. There was another question. Sorry.
Anything sport. Anything we would have done and put our mind to would have been professional sportsmen. If we'd have done rugby, cricket, football, athletics, any of them. Any of them four, we'd have put our mind to. We'd have done professional.
So, let me ask you a question. And I know it's quite a difficult one to answer because it's a lot of like hypotheticals. But if you had the right attitude and you had stayed away from some of the things which you kind of lent towards, how far do you feel you were good enough to go if your attitude and your mentality was different?
Well, it's the same as my brother.
You reckon?
If not, yeah.
Better.
No,
I'm asking you.
I'm not going to say better, no, but yeah, even if half the player, but no, I'd have been confident. You have certain people when you see them, they have levels, and I found whatever level that I got to, it took me like a week or 2 weeks to adapt. Once I adapt, I started to excel. But then I would always just do enough because it was just normally football. I wouldn't go to the gym. Never go to the gym. But at training, I'm always first at training. I'm always first in running because I was a competitor. I wanted to win at everything.
Yeah. But you didn't do like the additional, like the extra work, I suppose.
No. But obviously, if they had a training partner or someone, or friends that were football related instead, they wanted to do stuff that footballers shouldn't be doing.
What about, did you used to train together, the two of you, much? Or
no, but you're growing up and you're constantly playing football, like one kick, and you're constantly playing football, and every now and again you'd win one. Every now and again. But because you were both the same, you didn't want to get beat. If you're playing one kick and he's 3 or 4 years older and you're not going to win much. Unless when you're like 8 and he's like 11, 12. We used to live on the corner of a street, and it was like it was a street going down and a street coming across, and we was on the corner. So straight across, looking diagonally across, there was another house with a gate there. So that was the goal. And at our corner, we had a gate. So that was the goal. We used to have one kick. You can only have one kick just to try and score it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was just constant. Back in the day, there was never cars on the streets. There'd be probably 1 or 2 cars parked on the street. You take your ball to football. You take your ball everywhere. And like 11 or 12, that all stopped. Yeah.
So when you two would have been doing things like trials and stuff like that, would you have prepared for them together? Go and train a bit in the park or whatever?
No, he didn't have a trial. He played football on a local team, and someone spotted him. Or his coach was a City scout, and then got him to City. There were no trials. No,
he just was scouted and in.
Maybe Salford, but no, he didn't. No, I can't remember.
How did he go from City to United then? How did that come about?
He didn't offer him anything.
City didn't want it, didn't fancy him today, and then
no.
Oh, okay. Interesting, mate. Interesting. Pick your brains a little bit.
I don't know if they didn't want him or they didn't. I don't know. I don't know about that. The document saying they didn't want him, but I'm sure they did. But as soon as United were involved, that was only one place he was going to go. He was a mad United fan.
Yeah. What players did you two sort of idolise then growing up?
He was a mad United fan. Always United. Brian Robson, Mark Hughes, just mad United fan. I was more players. John Barnes, Watford, Luther Blissett. And then Mo went to Liverpool when John Barnes went to Liverpool, just because they won as well and we were better United, just to wind him up. So, yeah.
Did you used to fight?
He used to like Everton as well, but Everton were winning in the 80s as well.
Yeah. Do you used to fight much when you were younger, or do you get on?
No, not really, no.
Do you used to get on quite well?
Well, if he push you, you have to start with just get an ashtray or something over his head. I don't know. So, yeah.
You got me then. Excuse me.
Don't get me wrong, I've had stuff on my head as well. I remember in Wales whatever he was doing, and he told me to move out of the way. I've not moved out of the way, and he's throwing bricks into a pile, and I've got in the way of the pile. He's gone move. I've gone no. He's gone move. I've gone no, and he just threw a brick on it. It's hit me on the top of the head. Blood everywhere. Dad's giving him a crack. Yeah, he's gone in. I've gone to hospital. Oh yeah, so just brother stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I got 3 of them.
I must have been about 9, 8, something at that time.
Yeah. It's a slightly different subject, but I think it's quite an interesting question because you've got an insight into it. So Reese says, as someone who played in the Welsh League, what would you suggest they do to make the league more competitive and better as they get into obviously the European places and stuff like that? Because the standard generally in the Welsh League is so bad.
Yeah, it's so difficult.
Asking how would you improve it?
It's so difficult. There's only one thing you can do. It's money, and not everyone's got money, so it's so difficult. It's hard work. All I can say is it's very, very, very well run. All the clubs, all very well run. Everyone's you rely on these clubs rely on volunteers,
sponsors.
You've always got this good core of fans, and just got to support your local club because they need all the money they can get. Because but all the clubs are run very, very well though. I'm surprised.
Interesting. So if I said to you, right, you're the new CEO of the Welsh FA, and your mandate is improve the standard of the Welsh League, say, I don't know, first three things you try and implement.
Trying to get all the clubs to have academies.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to suggest then, is like getting the best, because there's so many young, like I'm talking like from 12 to 19, right? There's so many young players in Wales which don't get picked up by a Cardiff, a Swansea, a Bristol, or whoever, who kind of just languish and sometimes don't even end up playing Welsh League football, because in Parks football in Wales, or certainly in Cardiff, at under 16s it stops. There's no under 17s, 18s, there's no youth league, so it just stops. So you either play men's football or you stop at 16. And I think that's a massive issue, because there's players who are maybe not good enough, or maybe just have missed the opportunity to be spotted by a Cardiff or whoever, that if they went and did it in the Welsh League or the non-league, they could do really well, who was 16, 17, 18. But it's getting the Welsh League and the non-league clubs to be able to invest in an academy and to invest in going scouting young players around Cardiff and, you know, the valleys and whatever. Like, it's money in it, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right, just before we do the predictions, mate, Reece says, I get it that main clubs like Cardiff, etc., will always have the best youth players, so they miss out a lot. But I force the Welsh clubs in England to partner up with a Welsh League club as a feeder. Do you agree with that as an idea?
Yeah. I froze.
Certainly an option. Your camera's froze. Your audio's good though, mate. So we'll just have that pretty face on for a minute.
Let's go. What's the
get these predictions up. I'm just trying to get them up on my phone now. It's taking a while. Osimhen been linked with Liverpool today, mate. Would you be gutted if he ends up going there?
No.
Would you like to see him at United alongside Haaland?
No. Doesn't work, mate. Doesn't work two up front. It doesn't work.
Do you think United need another striker?
No, you're going to stick with him and give him time.
Do you think they need another striker though to sort of be a backup for him?
No.
Because I think Martial can do that job, and
you've got players that can do that. Yeah.
If I was a betting man, mate, I would say that Mason Greenwood will be back there in the summer anyway.
He's flying. He's flying apparently.
Yeah. And look, you know, you got to be realistic. We could take emotion and stuff out of it. And if you just look at it, if he has a good season at Getafe, he's still a United player. You think that they're going to ship him out when you got Anthony not performing, Sancho having a tantrum, Martial can't be trusted, and they could just bring in someone of his stature. Of course they got him. It's a no-brainer. Right. Manchester City at home to Brighton. I've gone 2-0 to Man City.
3-1.
Newcastle at home to Crystal Palace.
Oh, there you go.
Back. Newcastle versus Palace at Newcastle.
Newcastle versus Palace.
I gone 3-1 Newcastle, me.
1-1.
Brentford at home to Burnley. I've gone 2-1 Brentford.
I've gone 2-1 Burnley.
Interesting. Chelsea at home to Arsenal. A big game. How many? 2-1?
Arsenal.
I gone 3-1 Arsenal. And then United away to Sheffield United.
3-0 United.
I gone 2-0 United there. They got to win that. Villa at home to West Ham United. I've gone 2-2.
Home win.
I gone
3-1.
And then we got Cardiff City away to Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn struggling a little bit in the league. Cardiff up in 8th.
Who are they playing?
Blackburn at Blackburn.
Tough one. 1-1.
Yeah, I got 2-1 Cardiff there. 2-1 to the Cardiff. And
I'm not biased as you, so 1-1.
Come on, I'm not biased, mate. I just recognise quality. There's a difference. Yeah. And just for a bit of fun, I'm going to ask you for your score prediction. Wrexham are away at Bradford City on Saturday. What do you believe the score will be there?
2-1. Bradford.
Interesting. I'm going to go with a Wrexham. I think it'll be high scoring because Wrexham don't seem to be able to defend for toffee. So I'm going to go 4-2 to Wrexham there. Mate, enjoyed that. Nice quick 50 minutes. Some interesting conversations, mate. Appreciate your honesty as always. It's one of my favorite things about doing these shows. And we'll be back next week. And obviously the Premier League and the Championship's back, which is the main thing, makes everything more interesting. And maybe, you never know, mate, maybe Man United sale will have gone through by next week.
Can I say that again, mate? What last
I said maybe by next week United's sale will have gone through.
Yeah. More chance of Cardiff getting promoted. Go on.
They are going to get promoted, mate.
Why are you're worse for these kids? Just throwing, just cast the lines and just getting a bite every single time. Absolutely nothing for them working with.
It's like amateur hour, isn't it?
Yeah, amateur hour, exactly.
In a bit, motherfucker.